All right, welcome once again to the beatzillapdx official news break. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have an interesting topic today because something I came across while uh, monitoring court, I guess you could say political proceedings. Um, Here is a situation to where some of the agenda of the Democrats has been revealed via one of their uh, paid for shills. Um, and she is up here before, I believe this is the Senate or Congress, um, explaining the agenda of when we're trying to, I guess we're figuring out they were actually looking to accommodate foundational Black Americans' demands, but they were trying to underhand it, add everybody else into it. And Marco Rubio subsequently was able to pick that out. Now, see, something that is happening in these political proceedings as of late are conservative Republican white men pointing out anti-blackness within the Democratic Party while using black women to get the Democratic Party's agenda done, just like this woman here. So I'm going to play this, and once this is done, then I'm going to come back and revisit it, a few choice, little parts of it. But I'm going to play it first in its entirety. It's about 4.5 minutes. But again, fair use. This is something that y'all need to hear. This was just today. So you can understand how they're trying to graft in other agendas to the foundational Black American agenda, while acknowledging that we are the most underserved. So take a note of what's going on here.
So if equity is discrimination, then I assume justice under that view is inequality. Senator Rubio.
Thank you. Ambassador Abercrombie Winstanley, the President's executive order, I think it's 13985, it provides a list of underserved communities, and it mandates that executive agencies seek to promote equitable, fair, and impartial outcomes for those communities. And I too believe not only is diversity our strength as a country, but if in fact our workforce does not reflect our population, then it merits a inquiry into what are the impediments. Are there any artificial impediments that are leading to that outcome? In the list of the underserved communities are groups that have historically faced discrimination in this country on the basis of their race, their religion, their gender. But it also includes a list of other groups. First-generation college students, which I happen to be, people with limited English speaking ability, immigrants, the elderly, former convicts, people from rural areas, military spouses, single parents, all good groups. I'm just curious, if we include all the people that have been discriminated against historically, plus all of these other groups, who is not an underserved community?
Thank you for your question, Senator. I can tell you that my office looks at this two ways. A, that our responsibility is focused on those groups who have been historically underrepresented in the Department of State, who are protected classes. And so that is a more narrow list of people, the first group that you mentioned. The reality is, as we work to remove barriers to those groups, we are in fact leveling the playing field for every group. We're focused on making merit-based decisions, so removing those artificial barriers. So when we do things like ensure that people can interview for the Department of State via a virtual technique, while it might indeed help groups that are in the center of the country or from families that can't afford a $1,000 plane ticket to fly to San Francisco or Washington, D.C., it's also going to touch on other groups of people who also have that problem. So in that way, we are able to hit that wide variety of
No,
groups that
and I understand, but I mean, when you add to and I know you didn't write the executive order, but what I'm saying is that when underserved communities expands to includes, all these other groups, which are all, I mean, there's nothing, I understand the struggles or the challenges of each of these groups individually. It just seems like we've really narrowed the pool of people who we do not consider underserved to a very narrow category of people, which obviously begs the question, what information, do we keep a list of, for example, the religious affiliations of all the employees? Do we keep a list of everybody's ethnicity?
Yeah. We collect limited information on demographic information, and we have a number of employee organizations that group around many of these other characteristics that you've mentioned, whether it be singles at state, working parents at state, veterans. None of those are protected classes per se, but they do have issues that employees talk about, work with our HR, our global talent management, to ensure that they have a level playing field and the ability to serve to the best of their ability when they're in the department.
I guess my point is, I don't know how we can possibly make these efforts to help these groups, broad array of individual groups that have been defined as underserved, without collecting information about all of these topics. Are they the first to go to college in their family? What's their religion? What's their race? What do they speak English? Are they immigrants? I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make. We're collecting a lot of information. My time is short. I did want.
Okay, so you heard all of that. Now, what you're basically hearing is this woman trying to throw a bunch of things in the mix with the black agenda, without even calling it a black agenda, but also talking about protected classes, which black people are not. So that's the other part that foundational Black Americans have been calling for. The grassroots has absolutely been calling for a protected class status and also reparations. So now you have this woman doing a rising tide type of the rising tide lifts all boats type of business, and it is mucking up the playing field so much so that you have the Republicans calling them out on it, because clearly there's only one group right now asking for reparations. So why are you trying to go out here and undercut these groups? You're trying to literally go around black folks to undercut their claim, to start trying to throw money at every other group. And it's so obvious that they did it so rushed, because there's no information that this woman can provide to tell you why this is happening. Why are you adding all of these other groups? And one of the groups, if black people are the most, of course, we know, the most marginalized group in the country of historic proportion, why would you ever need to add anybody to that? And why would you need to question if, like, for instance, we understand the prison industrial complex was targeting us by way of Joe Biden's help, by the way. And so all of those black inmates, those are those convicts that you're talking about. So the same people who were targeted in the first place, they're already covered in the first group. Why are you now adding ex-cons now? I'll tell you why. Because that means all of the non-black ex-cons, which is a huge number as well. So meaning a path of freebies for non-black Americans by way of being an ex-con and getting a certain protected class, because now they're going to try to lump their underserving into black people's underserving, if y'all are understanding it. All of these other groups, gender, immigrants. Now that's the one that should really, really stick out in your mind, the immigrant line. Because again, what do immigrants have to do with you? Well, nothing, except for now needing to be lumped in with you to get the set asides that we are demanding. So now, again, kind of dirt bagging foundational Black Americans again to go around us, the grassroots, the people, our ancestors, to start throwing in everything in the mix. But this isn't even about getting everybody something. This is just making sure Black people remain a permanent underclass. So you have to say everybody is aggrieved if you are looking to just address a Black issue. And foundational Black Americans, the Black grassroots, the B1, we are absolutely refusing that idea and rejecting that idea wholeheartedly because we absolutely do not agree with the sentiment that we need to be lumped in with any other group. We are a unique group with a unique claim that no one else has the history to match. So we need to watch these type of individuals. So let's just revisit what she said real quick.
Of community.
Thank you for your question, Senator. I can tell you that my office looks at this two ways. A, that our responsibility is focused on those groups who have been historically underrepresented in the Department of State, who are protected classes. And so
Now, with that being said, Black people have not ever got protected class status. You could say civil rights, but that's a misrepresentation all in itself when you're talking about historical. Because there's only one group there that has history. So anything else would be modern history, but the history of this country, no. There's only one group that goes back to the beginning of the building of this land, outside of those who were slaughtered to make way for the builders of it. So let's keep that in mind.
that is a more narrow list of people, the first group that you mentioned.
Right, the narrow group, the Black and Native. Because those are two groups you could solidly identify. Now watch what she's about to do.
The reality is, as we work to remove barriers to those groups, we are in fact leveling the playing field for every group. We're focused on making merit-based decisions, so removing those artificial barriers. So when we do things like ensure that people can interview for the Department of State via a virtual technique, while it might indeed help groups that are in the center of the country or from families that can't afford a $1,000 plane ticket to fly to San Francisco or Washington, D.C., it's also going to touch on other groups of people who also have that problem. So in that way, we are able to hit that wide variety of groups.
I understand, but I mean,
Okay. Now, are you understanding wide variety? Our issue is not a wide variety issue. It's a singular issue. It involves no other group but us. It's a singular issue. So again, Black Democrat voters, Black Biden sexuals, y'all gonna have to eat this one. Because here they go. And not only that though, there's 30 million something dollars that Biden wants to give to police. And let's just be clear here. We have to just call it what it is. Look at that. And this is just today. So what Joe Biden is telling everybody is that he is pro-police while trying to dismantle the Miranda right. He has this woman coming out here to all tides rise all boats. Family, this is a political, strategic positioning against a black agenda. And it is absolutely making a target of black economical change. I don't know how you can't see this. So by now you should understand what the assignment is. It should not be a mystery to you this go around. All the vote blue, no matter who business, is over with. If you are a foundational black American, you have a responsibility and a duty to your future to boycott this election. Because if this is how they're going, 37 billion to the police, and now Joe Biden is trying to out blue the Republicans. So he's trying to back the blue, the Republicans. That's why you don't hear all of these right wing groups really going so hard. They got the Let's Go Brandon cheer, but that's nothing. That is nothing. Because at the end of the day, they are watching new black media and they understand we know Joe Biden ain't fooling us. We are very, very well aware Joe Biden is not fooling us. So with that being said, y'all understand when these people start showing up, we need to make sure we shun these individuals because they do not speak for foundational black American interests at all. Matter of fact, they are absolutely put here to work against it. And why? Well, it's because if our financial gain, like reparations, were to happen, then a lot of financial things seem to change. So let's just remember the sentiment of Joe Biden.
This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
And always remember,
bringing the children into it any more than we have to. We're doing it for the children, but I don't feel that they are old enough to understand the problem as it is.
Do you think a Negro family moving here will affect the community as a whole?
Definitely.
In what way?
I think that, well, the property values will immediately go down if they are allowed to move in here in any number.
And what of the dream of middle-class respectability? If a Negro family can afford what you can afford, how do you justify your feeling of superiority? What other...
All right, and there it is, family, because remember, this video that you're seeing is really not too far from Joe Biden's hometown, his birthplace. That's not too far from where he is. Matter of fact, another place that's not too far from where he was born, Sesame Place. Let that sink in. So with that being said, just a quick news break, chiming in on this individual here, another Democratic black operative, anti-reparationist lineage base, that is. And we have to keep an eye on individuals like this because they absolutely do not represent what we represent. They represent liars like this individual here who would say, quote, "The African American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back and I'll have yours," unquote. And here today, he is trying to outback the blue, the Republicans. He's literally going on Twitter on a campaign calling out the Republicans about who's more pro-police. Yeah. Don't know how you can absolutely justify this, but I hope you understand. As we are talking our reparations, there's all of these other groups who this woman just shows you she's there. There's an agenda, and look at all those people on that screen. All of those people are trying to get in to what we are fighting for right now. These dirtbag leeches. That is absolutely dirtbaggish and leeches culture. That's why we're foundational Black Americans and exceptional people. Absolutely different than somebody who would try to backdoor grift a whole nother group that they don't have any part of their lineage or birthright or claim. No, that just means you are a thief. So with that being said, family, this has been a beatzillapdx official news break because we had to address this. Keep an eye out on this. Y'all should be staying tuned in to like C-SPAN or whatnot if you can, and just stay aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, y'all have a good one. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, beatzillapdx. You can follow me on Patreon, beatzillapdx official. You can follow me on Melanated People, Michael Beatzilla Whitmore. You can email me at ourrealtruth@gmail.com. And if you want to put something in the bucket by way of donation, all donations are greatly appreciated. Thank you in advance. You can do so at CashApp $beatzillapdx. It's CashApp $beatzillapdx. Also at PayPal at Zilla Muzak. That is ZILLAMUZAK. And without further ado, y'all, Black first and Shalom.
If you're tired of being censored on social media, join 60s.net. It's Black owned, Black operated, and Black moderated. And we make sure it stays a safe space for us to talk about all things Black culture. We also got some cool gear like the FDM Cotton Crew Neck, the Fearless Ancestors tee, hats, and more. Check us out at 60s.net.
Hey girl, why are you so sad?
I just got banned from Twitter again.
Should have been on 60s.net. Ah.